Welcome back to John's Films. I'm not going to buy an M1 chip for video editing. There, I said it. I feel like it has to be said out on the YouTube interwaves. There's been a ton of really good analysis done by Mr. Alex Tech, Learn Color Grading, a couple others that show us the power of that M1 chip from Apple. And, you know, their advertising says small chip, giant leap forward. It's true. It's an amazing chip. The design that they've done to be able to encapsulate what I'd call an APU or system on chip, so that is a central processing unit or CPU and a GPU integrated. The way that they share their memory architecture looks brilliant. Here's the problem I have with the new M1 and why I'm not buying it for video editing. The first thing is the packaging. They're packaging this chip, which is ultra cool. In fact, it's been designed with 8 cores and then 7 or 8 cores worth of GPU processing power. The 8 cores are not all created equally though. Much like we've seen in cell phones over the last 5 years, they've gone to a big little architecture where they have some big cores which are meant for big time work, and they've got little cores which might be good for background tasks or low power usage. And that's really extending the Macbooks that you see, and that's why you've seen this chip come out in laptops first, because it's truly built for that. And that's reason number one, I'm not going to be buying it for video editing. For one, if I'm editing truly, I'm sitting at a desktop workstation with a nice large monitor, and I've got some room to stretch, so why not use a large machine like I've got behind me? The second reason that I'm not interested in it for video editing is I don't think that it's going to handle my B-raw footage as well as the benchmarks might show. Sure, not many people have touched B-raw with it, but here's the real problem. It's not the processor and the processing power involved in editing B-raw. In fact, B-raw is pretty easy for the machine to cut as long as it's got enough pipeline, that is data feed, coming off the disks and in memory to be able to store it for working. That's the problem. The problem is there's only 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. And not only is that just 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, like memory, working storage, it's unified memory. So you only use it with the processor, but you also use it with the GPU. And what I've seen from Resolve is it will very often load your timeline into video memory. And then when it's caching some of those effects, the more difficult effects or larger textures get stored in memory as well, in the graphics memory. And then once they're rendered into something that's on your timeline and you see the timeline caching go, it'll be both cached to disk at that point, but cached into your memory. And if you're filling up your memory with textures, with large frame sizes, with large work like B-raw, there's not going to be enough memory in the system to be able to handle all of those needs. And so I'm really concerned about true video editing on these things. And I don't believe that that's what Mr. Alex Tech or the Learn Color Grading channel is suggesting. They're saying, look, it's amazing how well this chip works, and I'm totally on board with that. This is a phenomenal processor. The way that they've designed it, the way that it's going to be used, it's going to change laptops for a long time. And that brings me to the third reason that I'm not buying this. There's another one coming. There has to be. There's an M.2 or M2 chip that's coming out later. And that M2 chip, I can only imagine how phenomenal it will be. Think about it. If they were able to play with the big little core ratio, if they were able to play with the number of cores that they put into these chips, if they were able to design a dedicated chip on their same architecture but for graphics. And when I say same architecture, I don't mean x86, whatever. I mean using some of the same technology that they've used to create the cores that go in this processor. What if they split a team off and spent some time developing a graphics unit? That would be truly phenomenal, because the team has proven that they have what it takes to develop a solid execution pipeline and package it in a way that the operating system can use it for extreme efficiency. And that would be quite amazing. So I'm not buying it. My third reason being, I think there's another chip coming. I think it might go in an iMac and eventually work its way up to obviously the Mac Pro. That would be quite exciting. I think an iMac on one of these chips that's souped up a little bit more with more memory and with possibly a dedicated GPU would be insane. So if you have any comments or thoughts of yourself, please drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, click subscribe. I've got a lot of people asking me about this, and I want to make sure that as many people as possible can see it. Clicking subscribe is a huge way to help me show others what I think about this. So I really appreciate you helping me out, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.